Hey, Coach Candace here. And one of the questions I got asked recently on my social media was how to work through injury. Many of us, through the enjoyment of our activities, sometimes through no fault of our own, or just stuff just happens, we may incur an injury. Or sometimes it might be something that happens in our everyday life and it affects our activity that we enjoy in the gym. Just a part of it. We just got to work through it. So just put it in perspective. There's people in pain and seeing physical therapists for doing nothing. Like they're on the couch and they experience pain, they do nothing. So I don't want them to be viewed as like, oh, geez, if I exercise, I'm going to get an injury. Not necessarily true, but again, it doesn't make you immune from it. And I'll discuss this today, but also know that like I am not speaking from the lens as a physical therapist. That is not my area of practice or specialty, licensure, or certification. So do with it what you will. But this is kind of like how I approach injury, at least for myself, and I try to impart on my clients. But when necessary, I do encourage them to meet with one of those professionals. But the number one thing I encourage people with is focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. Like so many people get fixated, and I'm just going to use, oh God, I injured my left shoulder, so that means I can't do anything at the gym. Like you still have a right arm, and you still got two legs, and you still have a core. Like there is always something you can work on while you work through rehabbing that particular limb. So focus on what you can do. And yes, like in the moment, it kind of stinks, like not being able to fully like enjoy the gym in the way you would like. And I've been there years ago, injured my bicep catching a dumbbell snatch wrong at a comp. I probably should have let it go, but in the spirit of competition in the moment, like I really wanted that rep and ended up just injuring myself and kind of had to let it like calm down and relax for about 4 weeks. So I did a lot of left hand only work. If it meant riding up like an assault bike with only my left hand or doing single arm dumbbell thrusters, and that's what I did. Something I do notice that came out of that time was like an appreciation for things that maybe I didn't do, like didn't have before. For example, like I love, believe it or not, like I kind of missed doing burpees, and I wasn't into doing like one arm burpees. But I missed being able to go down and do burpees. And so I just kind of appreciated them more when I found I had a period where I couldn't do them. Or again, like I love doing snatches, and I missed like doing snatches. So you kind of have, you found like a newfound appreciation for the things that you can't do. But I always like use those times, like I always try to find like an opportunity in everything. So like, okay, I can't fully enjoy the gym. Like just because like you can't fully enjoy the gym in the way that you would like, it does not mean that there's absolutely nothing you can work on. So for example, like if somebody has like a significant surgery, like I want to say especially like an abdominal surgery, normally you can't like bear down or like squeeze like for a couple weeks, like that's an opportunity to work on your nutrition. More often than not, like the doctor is going to recommend that you still walk. Like you could still do those things and focus on those things even though you can't necessarily be active in the gym. So there is always something you can focus on. And not to mention, like working on your nutrition during that time is going to help with recovery, which we'll talk about as well. But number one, like rest may be necessary. Like you may need to stop using that limb, for the time being, for the moment. So I want to say a couple weeks ago, I demonstrated something that I've done for many a number of clients, like so many times without thought, and had no issues, but demonstrating that day, I ended up like feeling like a little pool up in my arm and my shoulder. And I think it was probably like a little bit of systemic fatigue, recovering from my endurance race. And that was the difference in that. So that day, like I did attempt to still do my workout, but just overall was like just having too much pain down and through there, and just had to absolutely just not use like my left arm for a pushing movement that day. But anything I could do the rest of the day, I did do. So I didn't use that one initial pain as a reason to like sandbag the whole workout. Number two, like other options to help you still keep going is to adjust your range of motion or the weight. So sometimes like if people have had trouble, like let's say pressing from a flat surface or pressing up and overhead, sometimes an incline range of motion would not cause any pain. So we adapt and do that. Or in the past, like where I have if I was having a period of time where I felt like if my back was flared up for whatever reason, like if I couldn't deadlift from the floor, maybe I would stack two 45-pound plates and I can comfortably deadlift from that height, then I did do that. And again, that's like an adjustment in the range of motion, but sometimes the weight. So going back to this injury here just a couple weeks ago, for example, I was doing like a low incline dumbbell bench press, and to do like 30 pounds caused trouble, but then I backed off down to 25 and had no issues. So I just let myself work at that weight for that day. Cause another side note, not being able to fully do well in one workout is not going to like tarnish your fitness in its entirety. So don't worry about the gains you feel like you might be missing from not having that one perfect session. So just doing whatever your best might look like on that typical day. But also too, I'll back up a step here. Rest may be necessary. So I want to say when it initially happened that day, I was still able to bench press a bit, but again, that low incline dumbbell bench press was causing issue. So ultimately I just did single arm dumbbell bench press for the day. I was still able to keep on going, even though I didn't let that one thing stop my whole session. I just did what I could with what I could, and that meant just doing single dumbbell bench press for the day. And then again, we talked about adjusting the range of motion and the weight. So hey, if it means if you could do whatever the movement might be, I'm just gonna say 5 pounds for the day, then do 5 pounds for the day. So what? So you went back down just to preserve yourself for a future session. But 3, nutrition for rest and recovery. Especially in time of injury or repair, recovery, prioritizing protein to help your muscles have what it needs to repair and recover. But also talking about rest. So it's hard to expect yourself to feel better and repair and recover if you're sleeping 4 and 5 hours a night. So my encouragement for folks then is to prioritize getting a good night's sleep. That's where your body goes through all those processes to help you feel better. So again, it comes down to controlling what you can control and focusing on just those little things, even though it might not necessarily be a gym movement, but looking at those factors outside of the gym to help you repair and recover. And I just kind of gave an example of just how again I dealt through that recently, but I kind of talked about it as we went through. So that day, when the initial injury happened, I just didn't do the movement that caused pain and still worked on the rest of what I could do for that day. And then again, I provide an example of where I went down in weight for the movement. So again, I didn't lose all my gains because I went down in weight for the day. I'd rather work at a weight that doesn't cause pain or discomfort and kept on going. And I want to say and sometimes and again, this is where I when I emphasize I'm not a physical therapist to tell you when you should push through or not push through, but some pain and discomfort, it is okay, because there were days okay, it kind of feels like a touch irritating. I was still able to do that, and then still ultimately then had no residual pain afterwards. So sometimes I will have sets where okay, those first 2 are kind of uncomfortable, but kind of the more that went on, the better I felt. So just because I feel a smidge of discomfort doesn't mean I stop and don't do it at all. So I feel that just kind of comes with time and experience of knowing what to push through and what not to push through. So I wish I had a black and white answer on that for you. But I'll just say I don't always just necessarily stop. We'll work through some of that, and again, I ultimately feel better as I go along. But all of this to say I followed that process and 1, resting where I needed to, 2, adjusting what I needed to, going down in weight if I needed to, and then ultimately 3 to 4 within 3 to 4 weeks, I want to say yesterday I just had a pain-free dumbbell bench press session. So again, I didn't stop anything I was doing. I still kept doing what I could and just accepted that my best is going to look different on different days. And that's kind of the approach I take recovering from anything that I've done. Again, talking about coming off endurance events, hey, this particular body part or sore, I could still do something else, and I focus on what I can do in that moment. But I hope you find that helpful. I believe too much in medicine today will non-educated providers, they just suggest you rest, period. But like they refer you to physical therapy where they again get you to, guess what, move. Like they don't, you're not going to physical therapy so that they encourage you to be stationary, they encourage you to move. But yet, like our too many physicians are suggesting you not do anything. I have a client, a woman who has injured her, like her right hand has gone through, like is going through rehab for that, and they couldn't get over that she was still going to the gym, and she's like, well, there's so much else I could do. Like, think of all the progress that could be lost by just simply doing not like by doing nothing. Like, um, you know, again, make progress in some other way, like whether it be nutrition or hey, like in the past I've had a gentleman who injured like a hip flexor, tripped over something at home, so we did like 4 to 6 weeks of upper body, then he PR'd his bench press. So like everything is an opportunity to work on something else, and at no point in time should that cause all of your progress to come to a complete halt. So that is probably the one key takeaway I want you to have. Like, yes, mentally it's tough, but kind of use this as an opportunity to improve in something else. So I hope you found that helpful. Any questions, let me know, and see you in the next one.